from the studios in Mooresville, North Carolina, it's the BENGEBUSTER Show.
Are you ready? Let's get ready to rumble!
Kiss, the end of the road tour. One last kiss. On tour in 2019. Kiss on their final tour ever. Go to kissonline.com for more info. History will be made.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of the BENGEBUSTER Show. I call this my Kiss edition, coming right off seeing the final Kiss concert this past weekend in Charlotte, and man, what a great show that was. As most of you know, I'm a huge Motley Crue fan, and Kiss was always my second favorite band, and for some crazy reason, I don't know why, but over the years, I've been to all these concerts. I've seen Motley Crue, Kiss, Poison, Quiet Riot, Slaughter. I mean, I've seen them all, but I've never seen Kiss. I don't understand why I never saw them. But in any event, I went this past Saturday night to the Kiss show there in Charlotte, North Carolina at the PNC Pavilion. And folks, let me tell you, the show was sold completely out. You couldn't see the grass for people. All the seats in the under the pavilion was packed full. And let me tell you, folks, for 2.5 hours, Kiss put on a tremendous show. I had the time of my life, and actually my regret is I wish I had saw Kiss a lot sooner than I did. But any event, it was a really good show. It is their final tour. I know Kiss has had a lot of final tours, but as Gene Simmons explained, the final shows before was the final show of Peter Criss and Ace Frehley. But this is definitely what they're telling us is the final farewell. This is it. If you want to see Kiss, you got to catch them on this tour. If not, you'll go down in history of never getting to see the greatest band in the world, Kiss. So this podcast today is going to be based on the Kiss End of the Road World Tour. Just want to give you people a little bit of background about this tour. So on September 19th, 2018, Kiss was playing on America's Got Talent, and right after they got through playing Detroit Rock City, they announced their final tour, stating that it would start out in 2019, and it did. Their first show was January the 31st. It started out in Vancouver, Canada, and they have been tearing up the stage ever since. Every show has been completely sold out, and according to Wikipedia, the gates, the box office, has been tremendous. They have been bringing in over $1 million at almost every venue they played at. Oddly enough, I was looking, I'm kind of shocked. It looks like the two cities so far where they have had the highest draw, for one, was Raleigh, North Carolina. The gate was 1,700,000. The other was in Columbus, and they're $1,800,000. I think I could get used to making that kind of money. I mean, I could retire. But man, what a career that Kiss has had. I always say Paul and Gene were geniuses, and they were far beyond their time. Because you think about this for a few minutes, okay? So you got all these different rock bands and musicians and country singers and everything like that. Well, they come out. For instance, let's just use a country singer, okay? Country singer comes out. He wears a cowboy hat. He plays a few songs. He gets some hits on the radio, after 4 or 5 years, no matter how big a star he is, he kind of dwindles out because now there's a new face on the horizon. But man, Kiss was the first band to put, of course, to put on the makeup. Gene always says that that he wanted Kiss to be a band that no one had ever saw. And I can definitely tell you that that's the case with Kiss. So they started out in 1973 from New York City, playing clubs, and then of course they went to the grand stage, selling out arenas worldwide, in the United States and Japan, and of course anywhere they played, they sold out. So from 73 until 82, Kiss wore makeup, and they wore the outlandish costumes on stage, with the very show business type of show. And then around 82, 83, they decided it was time to take off the makeup. Now think about this for a minute. For 10, 11 years, no one knew what Kiss looked like behind their makeup. The more people wanted to see what they looked like, the more they pulled back. From that point on, when Kiss had their makeup, they were very marketable musical group. In the 70s, there was Kiss action figures and Kiss pinball machines and Kiss lunchboxes and Kiss toy guitars and action figures, and it just went on and on and on and on. And they made a tremendous amount of money just off of their characters. And going back to some of my other podcasts, when I talked about a gimmick, you want to talk about a gimmick. Kiss was the ultimate gimmick in the 70s. I mean, come on, think about this. Kiss was the first, stars to paint their faces. Well, now you go back and you look at pro wrestling. You had the Road Warriors, and you had Sting, and you had the Ultimate Warrior. Those guys painted their faces in that, and I can't help but think that they got that idea from Kiss. But anyway, getting back to Kiss, I'm going to get off my subject here. But so in 82, 83, Kiss played their final tour with their makeup on. And around about that time is when Peter Criss left the band, and they hired Eric Carr to come in. He had his own face paint. He was the Fox. And then shortly thereafter, Kiss took off their makeup. Ace Frehley left the band, and they brought in other guitarists. And so now, throughout the 80s and 90s, so 20 more years, let's just say, Kiss is playing without makeup. Okay, so now it's almost like Kiss is a band that people know. They see the logo, and, oh, it's Kiss. But then when they see them, it's like, oh wow, this is an 80s band. Like glam, because in the 80s, a lot of rock bands were glam with the flamboyant costumes and the big boofy hair and everything like that. And of course, Kiss was no stranger to that. And of course, in the 80s, a good rock song was about either love or hot sex or whatever the case may be. But it sold, and Kiss sold records in the 80s as well. And then around 96, word got out that, hey, we should do a reunion tour. So they did. They got back with Peter Criss and Ace Frehley and took off on another worldwide tour, the Kiss the Reunion Tour. And then after that dwindled down, they went back to the final tour, and so Peter Criss and Ace Frehley left the band, and thus came back Eric Singer and Tommy Thaler, and that's who the lineup is now. And I have to tell you, people, when I was at that show this past Saturday night, I mean, it was almost like a step back in time. Gene and Paul might be in their 70s, and I know there's been a lot of speculation online that Kiss is lip syncing, but I assure you, I was there, I heard it all, and there was no way that they were lip syncing. And for 2.5 hours, Kiss captivated Charlotte, North Carolina, at that sold out PNC Arena. And Paul made the announcement that it was over 20,000 people had packed in there to the PNC Arena. Now, I've seen a lot of concerts there at that place, and never, ever, ever have I had to park so far away to walk into the PNC Arena, but I ended up having to walk almost a mile just to get in there. And man, when I got there, the place was sold out. I saw a lot of old friends and people I haven't seen in a long time, and that was really cool. But man, as soon as the sun went down and the fireworks started, it was just a tremendous Kiss show from the time they started till they ended. No commercial breaks. No, hey guys, we'll be back short. No, from the time they took the stage until the end of the show, they definitely put their heart and soul into that show. And yeah, Kiss tickets might be expensive, but they're well worth it. I mean, they are a hard-working band, and of course I've seen interviews before and heard interviews where Gene talked about that. His goal was to make sure Kiss was always the hardest working band out there. If people were buying tickets, they were getting their money's worth. And I have to say that I definitely got my money's worth Saturday night. I really had a good time, and my fingers are crossed. I'm hoping that Kiss will come back before they hang up their boots and take off their makeup for the last time. Maybe come back to Greensboro or back to Charlotte one more time, and hopefully I get to see them again. If not, man, it was I'm glad I was there in Charlotte to see them play the final tour. Now, as far as the set list go, they definitely mixed it up. They had some of the of course the classic Kiss songs from the 70s, some great songs from the 80s, and a couple of new songs that they put out with the current lineup. What was kind of cool is how the show started. They played Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll. They had that playing over the PA system, and then it goes to a video and it shows Doc McGee knocking on the door and bringing Kiss out and walking them to the stage, and then when the lights went down and you of course hear that trademark, "You wanted the best, you got the best, the hottest band in the world, Kiss." And man, when they came out, so much explosions and fireworks and laser lights and confetti, and man, I'll tell you, it was such a great show. And of course, they opened the show up with Detroit Rock City. Then from there, Shout It Out Loud. They played Deuce. I Love It Loud. That was a really cool. I Love It Loud was like one of my first favorite Kiss songs. And to actually hear him play it live was really awesome. Then of course, Heaven's on Fire. That was another favorite of mine when I was a teenager growing up. Really loved that. And War Machine. And in War Machine was really cool because that's the part where Gene comes out with his sword on fire and he blows the fire, and that was really cool. And matter of fact, I know of a guy that he actually has that sword now in his possession. Gene autographed it for him, and I thought that was really neat. Then, of course, they play a few more great Kiss classics, and one of my all-time favorite Kiss songs is Love Gun, and when they played that, Paul actually flew across the crowd and had this little small stage that he stood on, and he sang Love Gun and I Was Made for Loving You on the little small stage in the crowd. Then from there they went, Gene done the God of Thunder with his bass solo, and he spit blood, and that was really cool. Then Tommy Thayer done his guitar solo, and it was neat because he was shooting flames out of or fireworks out of his guitar, and he did it 3 different times, and that looked really neat too as well. One of the things that was a change was Eric Singer singing Beth, and he actually played the piano, which was kind of neat. It kind of reminds you of Motley Crue doing Home Sweet Home with Tommy Lee out there playing the piano. I thought that was a really neat concept. And then that was part of the encore, and then they done Crazy Nights, and of course the all-time most popular Kiss song ever, Rock and Roll All Night. And but man, I tell you, what a great show. Like I said, it was. I've always wanted to see Kiss. Finally got to see Kiss, and I just asked myself, why in the world did I wait so long to see them until I waited till the end? But what a tremendous show, and they still have quite a bit of shows left on the tour. I know they were just this past week. They were in the great state of Virginia. I know I got some listeners in Virginia. So I know you guys got to see the hottest band in the world, Kiss, play, and I know that was really neat. And I think coming up this weekend they're going to be in Canada. So my friends in Canada will get to see the hottest band in the world play. It's going to be really neat to see just how big this concert is going to get before it's all said and done, because I know Paula and Gene had talked about that this final tour was going to last a couple of years because they wanted to see everybody one last time. And you think back to the 70s, at least me, in like 77, it seemed like Kiss was really, really popular over in Japan. I remember seeing pictures in like Circus magazine and Rip magazine of like Paul and Gene over in Japan, and the most amazing thing about this is, you think about this, in Japan they don't speak English, but when you watch a Kiss concert from Japan, you can hear the people singing the words, and they're singing it in English. That right there just shows you the power of rock and roll and the power of music. Music is something that it's a big part of my life. A lot of people know me more for pro wrestling. Of course, I've been doing that for a while, a long time. Matter of fact, coming up on an anniversary here, end of this month. It's going to be 27 years that I've been lacing up the boots and wrestling, and I don't see no end in sight anytime soon. My health is still pretty good, and I'm still getting bookings. People still want to see me, so I'm still going to show up, and do it as long as I can. But also, one of the other things that a lot of people probably don't know is I play drums. I've been playing drums since I was about 8 years old. And my drum heroes have been Tommy Lee and Peter Criss and Eric Singer of Kiss and Ricky Rocket of Poison. That's kind of the four people I kind of patterned myself my playing after. But music is a big part of my life, always has been, always will be, and so anyway, that's about the extent of it. Right now we're going to take a little break. Got a commercial break coming up. And when we come back, we're going to talk more Kiss coming right up. Ladies and gentlemen, the NAWA presents Thunderdome 2, Saturday, August 31st at the Burke County Fairgrounds. Bell time is 7 p.m. On that card, you will see a gauntlet match. Myrick Moore versus Axel Jaggers versus Dre White versus Max Carnage. Also, in the cage for the NAWA heavyweight title, Next to Perfect, Adam James defends against Thomas Extreme. And in the main event, the Thunderdome cage match, you will see the Carolina Cartel versus the Burke County Boys. That's Saturday, August 31st at the Burke County Fairgrounds in Morganton, North Carolina. It's the NAWA Thunderdome 2.
We are the funnest band on earth, period. Best show on the planet. I look across the stage and I say, wow, I'm in the greatest band on earth.
You've got a 45-year career. We don't want to go out like some bands and do the entire first album. Boring, but can we do Heaven's on Fire, Lick It Up, Deuce, Strutter, you name it. We should be able to cover all bases. So this is really a chance for us to go out there and celebrate with fans who know what to expect, who will get far beyond that, and also for people who go, I guess this is the last go round, maybe I should go. And the people who go for the first time are going to go, why didn't I go sooner? This is the ultimate Kiss show.
Hello fans, welcome back to the BengeBuster Show. I want to say thank you to our sponsors, the NAWA. They have sponsored a lot of our podcasts, and I just want to tell you fans out there, if you have not had a chance to go watch a NAWA wrestling event, then you are missing out on that, just like I missed out on Kiss. So definitely go check out the NAWA. They run shows monthly around the Morganton area, It's old school wrestling at its best, and they have a tremendously huge show coming up on August the 31st. The Thunderdome 2. What you fans need to know what a Thunderdome is. It's 2 teams, kind of like war games. They get in there and they fight until someone throws in the towel. So it's going to be a tremendous night of action. So you definitely want to check that out. It's going to be a really, really great wrestling event. And as we're back now on our podcast talking more about the KISS End of the Road tour, right there you got a little glimpse. You heard Gene and Paul, their terms on this great End of the World tour. Man, they are just burning up every city, and like I said earlier, they're selling out every show they go to. And you know, I think one of the reasons why KISS does so well on their shows is for the simple fact they put on a really good show. It's somewhat family oriented. You know, when I was at the show in Charlotte this past Saturday, I saw everybody. I saw people from age like 3 or 4 years old to like in their 80s or 90s. It was really neat. I was sitting there looking around, people watching a little bit, and I look in front of me, and here's this family, and this kid is probably 4 or 5 years old. He's got headphones on, and man, he was having the time of his life rocking out to KISS. And then I look over a few rows over, and there's this older gentleman, probably in his 70s, and he was having the time of his life too. And man, it was just amazing how many different types of people were at this KISS concert. And the KISS memorabilia that was on sale was spectacular too. They had great looking T-shirts and bandanas, and you can even get a signed drum head from Eric Singer, drumsticks, guitar picks. I mean, they pretty much had everything out there that you could pick up for this final tour. I did get a T-shirt, and it's a really cool shirt. It's got the KISS on the front, and on the back it has all the tour dates and the cities, which I wanted to get that just because you know, that way I could see and go back and remember, you know, in 30 years from now that hey, I was at one of the last KISS concerts. You know, looking back in time, man, wouldn't it have been cool to be at like one of the very first KISS concerts when they first started out, starting to see how they were and how they are now. And incidentally, really cool thing, Paul Stanley was telling everybody in Charlotte that in '74 they came to Charlotte and played this little club, and said it was this very, very tiny club, and they played, and then now, you know, 45 years later, they're playing Charlotte, but now in front of 20,000 people. That's a really good testament to what type of band KISS is. I know a lot of people don't like KISS. You know, a lot of people have things to say, but I appreciate music, and I have to say that the KISS concert was really good. I definitely enjoyed myself. You know, one of the highlights was actually getting to see Gene spit the blood. I mean, that's always been a really cool thing that I always liked, to seeing that. And of course, Eric Singer's drum solo was superb too. It was really good. But you know, right now I want to go back in time and play a few interviews of KISS from the 80s, some of my favorite KISS interviews. And so I hope you guys enjoy them.
There was a period in our lives where we would stand on a street corner with a guitar case open. I would have a guitar, and Gene and I would stand and we go, you know, if you break my heart.
That's my part. Huh?
Okay, watch this, folks.
Right,
now just make believe you're walking down the street, throw a quarter this way.
You know, if you break my heart, I'll go, but I'll be back again, 'cause I told you once before goodbye. See, all that nasal
we would
stuff,
do that.
you were just marvelous.
And then sooner or later, someone would walk down the street, and it was usually a neighbor of mine, and go, Stanley, what are you doing down here? You look so cute.
I remember.
Song for my girl, right? Yeah.
And that was the kind of club it was. We went in
You
there, we were
guys
sitting.
in there, we'd like to dedicate Ave Maria to,
and we went to see him play in a small club. It was called the King's Lounge.
very nice club, very nice people were sitting on.
Hey, this is good. What do you got there?
Hey, what are you, a
this?
boy or a girl?
Oh, get out of here.
That kind of club. And then, so all of us are driving down Queens Boulevard in New York City, and we're trying to think of a name. And everybody's kidding around, and he throws out, kidding, hey, what about Kiss? And nobody was laughing at that. Yeah. I came to New York City, you know, trying to put together a band that would play my material. I hadn't met anybody that was a writer. I thought I was the only one that wrote songs. And then this mutual guitar player friend of mine who was in an old band that I was in introduced me to Paul. And the first time we met, I must have made a wonderful impression because I said, oh, so you play songs, you can write songs too, huh?
Yeah,
let's see what you got.
I go, okay. And I sit down, I play a song, he goes, that's not bad.
It's not bad.
Okay.
In fact, I remember the first song was Sunday Driver, which was later a song that...
And it wound up on our first album.
First record.
We changed it to Let Me Know.
Anyway, he thought I was a real putz, and probably from his perspective he was right. But the first time we were ever together in any relationship, aside from the secret one, of course, is that I rented his band my amplifiers because they were playing in a club and I had these Marshalls.
He was going on stage. We were playing. It was actually like a coffee house, you know, like a real hippie kind of place. And he came on first with this acoustic guitar and he's playing these songs.
I didn't have a group.
I love Eskimos, you know. Right?
That's pretty close. I had written all sorts of songs.
My mother is beautiful. You know. Yeah. And then we came on, turned up the amps, and we started playing, and we were playing. And
here's another funny story. I had then started an additional group with somebody else to do my material, and we needed another guitar player. We put an ad in The Voice. He answered the ad, and we never called him. He didn't sound right. He sounded like a flake. Time goes by. The next generation starts. We decide to put another group together, and then we decided when we meet. Then it was later that we realized, he and I, that he had actually called about this other band, and we never even returned his phone call. Did you get that?
It's amazing.
We've always found in our world travels that no matter where you go, people like to extend a very healthy and hearty hello to you. And every country has another way of doing it, and they all have their customs, and we've grown accustomed to them all. Everybody appreciates women tremendously. We celebrate them in our songs. They occupy a lot of our time.
And there was this girl with multicolored hair. She was blonde, but she was kind of greenish and reddish. Just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. She didn't know what my name was, didn't know anything about the band, but somehow she wanted to be with me. That's capital B, like biblically, B. Kaboosh.
Kiss has sold more than 100 million records worldwide. So with their big stage shows and all the albums they've sold, Kiss is definitely one of the most popular bands ever in rock and roll history. So I hope everyone has enjoyed my little podcast today, as I have given you history of Kiss, and more importantly, letting everyone know how great the final tour from Kiss is. So if you haven't got a chance to go out and see this final tour, I highly suggest going out, buying a ticket. Regardless of the price, treat yourself or your loved one or your family to a really, really great night of rock and roll. And just like Kiss says, if you wanted the best, you got the best. The hottest band in the world, Kiss.
Hey, Charlie! People. Good night!
Thank you for joining us for another exciting edition of the BENGEBUSTER Show. Tune in next week for a new show.